Hello and welcome to the new session on fluid mechanics. I had told you in the previous class that we will be starting pressure and its measurement, the second chapter in the first module in the coming class, and here we go, we will start with pressure and its measurement. Now, how many of you have already heard about pressure? I think you have completed your second semester under pressure. Your parents are under pressure to pay the fees. Everybody are under pressure. The teachers are under pressure to deliver lectures online. Is that the pressure we are talking about in the fluid mechanics class? No. But what is the pressure that we are talking about in this class is all related to fluid pressure. Then what actually is that pressure? For which we will have to understand what is actually a fluid. Fluid exhibits the property of flow, but when you contain the fluid in a solid boundary, you are not allowing the fluid of its very basic property, that is to flow. What actually happens when you do that? Let us take a container, and when you have a container and you are not allowing the liquid to flow by containing it within a solid boundary, the fluid exerts pressure in the direction perpendicular to the solid boundary. This force is always perpendicular to the boundary. This is very important. If you take a rectangular boundary, this has to be perpendicular to the solid boundary. Now, what actually is happening now? You are not allowing it to flow, and hence it is exerting certain pressure force on or exerting certain force on the boundary in the direction which is perpendicular to the boundary. Now, we will have to understand what actually pressure means. Now, the force that is being exerted in the perpendicular direction per every unit area, if you consider, then that becomes pressure or intensity of pressure. So, if you consider a very small pressure, because if you consider a very small element here, or a small element here, the pressure being applied here is P. This must be equal to the pressure force, the small pressure force that is being applied here per very small area. If this force is uniform over the entire area, that means if you can integrate this, then it becomes P is equal to F by A. Or pressure force, this is nothing but intensity of pressure or pressure intensity, which is equal to force by area. You can also write it as pressure force, F is equal to intensity of pressure into area. Both the equations, that is P is equal to F by A and F is equal to P by A, are very important, and you will keep using it. If you remember, you have already used it. When you worked for capillary fall, you have used pressure multiplied by area. So, that means you know you have already applied the concept of this, but you are not yet aware of what actually pressure means. Just to have a brief about the same that we have discussed already, when you contain a liquid or a fluid whose basic property is to flow by a container that is with solid boundary, that the fluid exert a force in the direction perpendicular to the solid boundary, and when you consider that force per unit area, that is nothing but intensity of pressure or pressure intensity, and hence pressure force must be equal to intensity of pressure multiplied by the area. This was a very little introduction to pressure. Now, before we get into the measurement part of it, we must recall ourselves that what we are studying is statics, that is fluid statics in the branch of fluid mechanics. That means we are only considerate yet about the static fluid. Now, in a static fluid, the very famous law called Pascal's law say that in a static fluid, this pressure or intensity of pressure at a given point is equal in all the directions. Very important, that is also asked in your examinations. I repeat, I have just told you about pressure and intensity of pressure. Now, in the fluid statics, this is a very important law called Pascal's law, where Pascal states that the intensity of pressure or pressure at a given point in a static fluid like this is equal in all the directions. Now, I will have to prove that. The proof for Pascal's law can be given by using a triangular wedge. Why I take a triangle is very important. On paper or on board, I can show you only 3 directions. Only 3 directions. If you can observe here, these are the 3 directions I can also represent here. So, only 3 directions can be taken on the paper. That is the reason why to represent each direction I need a triangle. So, I will take out a triangular fluid element out and draw it. A triangular fluid element and draw it. Let me name this triangle as ABC and let the angle BAC equal to theta. Now, each one has to represent one direction. So, usually we take it as X, Y and Z. So, this is a very small wedge. Small is usually shown as shown with a letter D. So, this is X direction, you already know. So, I will name this as dx, and this is Y direction, that is AB, and I will show this as dy, and you have this as Z direction, I will show this as dz. When you take a small part of fluid element, it do possess some weight. So, where will the weight act? Weight will always act vertically downwards. So, I will consider that weight also. What is the weight? I keep asking this question. How do we calculate weight when you do not have a weighing machine? It is by going back to basics. What does basics say about this? In basics, we know that specific weight is equal to weight by volume. Now, I need weight. That means weight must be equal to specific weight into volume. Specific weight is nothing but rho into G into volume. What is the volume here? If the area is dA, what is the volume? Volume is equal to area into the other dimension. See, observe here, I have considered the unit length of this wedge. That means one of the directions is 1. So, one of the dimensions is 1, the other dimension has to be the area. How do I write that? Half into, this is a triangle. How do I calculate area? Half into base into height. Base is dx, height is dy into 1. So, this is the weight. I repeat, specific weight into volume. Specific weight is rho into G. Volume is nothing but area multiplied by the other dimension. Other dimension is towards you, which is I have considered to be unity, that is 1. The area must be half into base into height. This is the self weight of the wedge or the element of fluid that you have considered. Now, what are the forces on these elements? I have told you that I can show you only 3 directions on the board. So, what is the first one? The pressure intensity. Let the pressure intensity be equal to P. If the pressure intensity is P, what is the pressure force? I have written here, pressure force is equal to P into area. P into area. So, pressure intensity is P. What is the area? That means if you observe here, this is a clear wedge, this is a triangle, and what is this face? If you observe here, this is a rectangular face. That means pressure is now acting on this rectangular face of the wedge. I repeat, pressure P is now acting on the rectangular face of the triangular wedge. So, what is the area of the rectangle? Area of the rectangle is B into D. Towards you I have taken it to be 1. That means this is 1. What is this? dy. So, this has to be P into dy into 1. This is the pressure force in the x direction. Similarly, I will have to consider the pressure force in y direction. How do I calculate the pressure force in y direction? The intensity of pressure is P, it does not change. That is what we have to prove. Pressure in all the directions are same. So, what I do here is, it is in x direction. So, I will take this as Px. This is in y direction. I will take this as Py, Py into, similar to this, it is acting on this face. This, in this direction I have taken the dimension as 1, that means this is 1. What is this? I have written clearly that it is dx. So Py into dx into 1. And when you come to z direction, again it has to be perpendicular to the direction. I repeat, here what I have done, I have taken exactly perpendicular to the y. Here I have taken exactly perpendicular to x direction. Similarly, I will have to take perpendicular to z direction, and this has to be P into, I will write it as Pz because it is pressure intensity in z direction, multiplied by dz into 1. This is the pressure force. I repeat, what I have used, I already had pressure intensity, that means x direction Px, y direction Py, z direction Pz, that is pressure intensity. Now, if I want the force, how do I convert that into force? Multiply by area. I have multiplied by area and I have got the equivalents. Now, I have to prove what? The pressure intensity at a point, that is here, it is equal in all directions. Which are the all directions I have? I have only 3 directions, x, y and z. If I prove Px is equal to Py is equal to Pz, that itself is the proof for the statement of Pascal's law, which states that intensity of pressure or pressure in a static fluid at a given point is equal in all the directions. So, to prove that, now I will have to resolve the forces in x and y directions. So, I will consider x direction. So, resolve all the forces in x direction. Which are all the forces you have in x direction? If you observe here, it is Px into dy. Px into dy is the force you have in x direction. Do you have any other force in x direction? See, this is Py into dx, it is in y direction. So, it does not come in the way of x direction. You have Pz into dz, which is neither horizontal nor vertical. That means you will have to break this into components. So, how do I do that? Draw 2 components. Draw 2 components. You know that how do we break the components? It has to be 90 degrees between them. 90 degrees between them. Now, if you observe, Pz dz is perpendicular to face AC. If the angle BAC is theta, which other angle is theta? You can observe here, these are the alternate angles. So, this angle is also theta. But this Pz dz is perpendicular to face AC. That means this total angle is 90 degrees. So, this angle must be 90 minus theta. Again, if you observe, between the components you have 90 degrees. That means this total angle is 90. So, this remaining angle must be 90 minus this angle, which is 90 minus theta. 90 minus 90 minus theta is nothing but theta. Now, come to our writing method of the magnitude of component. How do we get the magnitude of the component? Magnitude of a component must be equal to the resultant multiplied by the cos of the angle between them. So, here this component must be product of Pz dz, that is the resultant force, multiplied by cos of the angle between component and resultant. Between component and resultant, what is the angle you have? That is nothing but theta. So, this is Pz dz cos theta. If the horizontal is Pz dz cos theta, the vertical must be Pz dz sin theta. Now, you can get to know what other thing you have in x direction. Now, Px dy is acting in the positive horizontal direction, whereas Pz dz cos theta is coming in the negative x direction. So, this is nothing but Px dy in the positive x direction, Pz dz cos theta is in the negative direction. Those are the only two forces in x direction. Resolving all the forces in x direction, you must have px dy minus pz dz cos theta is equal to 0. But what is cos theta? You will have to work it out from the triangle ABC. So, I will do that here. From triangle ABC, you must be aware of what is cos theta, sin theta and tan theta in a right angle triangle. What is sin theta? If you remember, it is OH, opposite by hypotenuse. Cos theta is adjacent by hypotenuse. Tan theta is OI, that means opposite by adjacent. Now, using that very simple trick that I have told you, what is sin theta in this triangle? Sin theta is equal to opposite by hypotenuse. What is this side opposite to the angle? Opposite to theta is dx by, what is hypotenuse? The side opposite to 90 degrees is always hypotenuse, that is dz. Very simple. And what is cos theta? Cos theta, I have told you that it is that means adjacent, side adjacent to theta, that is dy, divided by hypotenuse is dz. Why I have taken that is, I will use the same here. So, px dy minus pz dz, instead of cos theta, I will write dy by dz. Dy by dz is equal to 0. Now, you can cancel out dz and dz and take dy as common factor and write px minus pz is equal to 0. When you send this dy to the other side, it becomes 0. Ultimately, you have px is equal to pz. Why I have done this is, if you resolve the forces in y direction and prove at least px is equal to py or pz is equal to py, the problem is solved, because if a is equal to b and b is equal to c, then a must be equal to c. Now, resolve all the forces in y direction. Resolve all the forces in y direction. Resolve all the forces in y direction. How do I resolve? You have how many forces? Let us first check. You have py dx in the y direction, positive y direction. You have self weight in the negative y direction. As well, you have a component of pz dz acting in the downward direction, which we can take as negative. That means there are three forces. Which are those three forces? I will first write the positive y direction, that is py into dx. Py into dx in the positive y direction. In the negative y direction, you have the self weight. What is the self weight? Rho g dx dy by 2. This is nothing but rho g dx dy by 2, which is self weight of the element, minus you have the component of pz dz in y direction, that is pz dz sin theta is equal to 0. But you have taken a very small fluid element whose weight can be neglected. So, I will cancel out this rho g dx dy by 2 as 0. You can ask me why, if I am going to cancel it and write it as 0, why am I taking the self weight in the derivation? But it is very important that you understand that the self weight of the element is considered, but in comparison with the rest of the pressure forces, the self weight becomes negligible because of the very small element that you have considered. So, you must show it. To get full marks at least, you will have to show that. Now, what is left out? Py dx minus pz dz. What is sin theta? Sin theta is dx by dz. Dx by dz is equal to 0. Dz and dz gets cancelled. You have, see, dy dx, sorry, py, I have made a mistake, py dx minus pz dx. So, you can take dx as common. You have py minus pz is equal to 0. dx becomes 0, you are left with Py is equal to Pz. Now if you observe, Px is equal to Pz, Py is also equal to Pz, that means Px must also be equal to Py. Ultimately you can write Px is equal to Py is equal to Pz, which is nothing but the proof for the statement of Pascal's law. I repeat, what does Pascal's law say? Pascal's law states that in a static fluid at a given point, all the pressure forces or the pressure forces in all the directions must be equal, or intensity of pressure at a given point in a static fluid is equal in all the directions. I have taken 3 directions, x, y and z, and I have proved that pressure intensity P in x, y and z directions are the same. Moving ahead, I had told you when I started this chapter in this class, pressure, and you also came to know about intensity of pressure and the basics of pressure, wherein it said with the help of Pascal's law, the intensity of pressure in all the directions are same, but when you go down or up, you will always find a different pressure. I'll have to prove that also. I'll tell you what I am intending to say. Now I have considered a point in a given static fluid, but if you are going down or if you are going up from the given point, there are changes in the pressure. Now I will take the help of hydrostatic pressure law to prove that the intensity of pressure increases when you go down. The intensity of pressure increases when you go down. That means it is dependent on the height, and also at any given point the intensity of pressure, the variation of intensity of pressure must be equal to the specific weight of the fluid. I will have to prove that, and that is what is the statement of hydrostatic pressure law, and that will help us in understanding when we go down the pressure intensity increases in a fluid. So next thing is hydrostatic pressure law. So it is hydrostatic law or variation of pressure with respect to depth. Variation of pressure with respect to depth is given by hydrostatic law. What is the statement of the hydrostatic law? It is very important because this also will be asked in the examinations, and there are question papers wherein the 2 derivations are together asked. State and prove Pascal's law and state and prove hydrostatic law. So I have already told you partially what is hydrostatic law and what does it actually give. It actually gives us the variation of pressure with respect to depth. So I will state the hydrostatic law for you. The rate of increase of pressure in vertically downward direction must be equal to specific weight of the fluid at that point. I repeat, the rate of increase of pressure in vertically downward direction must be equal to the specific weight of the fluid. I will have to prove that now. How do I prove that, and does it actually mean to us? Now, do we have swimmers in the class now attending? Maybe if you are a swimmer where it is difficult to swim, whether it is at the surface of the water or at the bottom. I believe it is at the bottom, and also if you can get into the back side of your watch, it will show you the depth to which the pressure can be withstood by that watch. That means when you go down, the pressure increases. That is what we will have to prove using the techniques that we have. Now I will consider water in a container or a huge container or a part of water body. I will consider that, and I will consider a very small rectangular water element. I will consider a very small rectangular water element, and I will name it as A, B, C and D. Though it is very, very small, for the purpose of study I have shown it little enlarged one. Let this be at a distance of h from the free liquid surface, and this is a very small variation. Let us assume that this is dH. What are all the pressures on this small fluid element? One thing, the intensity of pressure P on the surface CD. I have the intensity of pressure. How do I get the pressure force? Pressure intensity multiplied by area will give you pressure force. If you have the area as dA, area of this small fluid element taken as dA, then P into dA gives the intensity of pressure in terms of force on face CD. Now, what do we have? We have the pressure force also on face AB, but hydrostatic law states that when you go down, the rate of pressure increases. That means you will not have P into dA here, but an increment to P into dA will have to be considered. So, in addition to the existing pressure force P into dA, you have, in addition I am writing, because it is rate of increase. Hydrostatic law states that the rate of increase in pressure is more by the depth. So, P into dA plus, how does it changing? How does the rate varying? So, if you come down by this little, say dH itself is small, if you use partial differential to represent even smaller ones, if you come down by a very small distance, say dou H, and still there is increase in pressure by very small amount dou P. And if you come down even further there is change in pressure, and in fact it is increment. So, if we do that, it is dou P by dou H for a height of dH. See, it can keep increasing from here, starting from here till the time you reach this point, pressure keeps on increasing with respect to variation in height. That I have shown as dou P by dou H. Dou P by dou H can be enlarged between this point DC and BA. That means the maximum it can stretch to is dH. That is the reason why it is dou P by dou H into dH multiplied by the area. This is intensity of pressure. The increment in intensity of pressure is dou P by dou H into dH into area is dA. This is the pressure force on face AB. Now, we have taken two forces, which are those? P into dA on face CD, P into dA plus dou P by dou H dH dA in on the face AB. Now, you also have two more faces, AD and CB, and you have a pressure force acting perpendicular to face AB, as well as you have a force acting perpendicular to face CB, which are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, and hence gets cancelled. Pressure varies only in the vertically downward direction and not in the horizontal direction. Pascal's law has already proved that what? Pressure intensity at a given point in all the directions are equal. So, if you consider this point on any given point like this, you have the same intensity of pressure, but only when you go down you have the increment to variation in pressure. And along with these two forces, you also have the self weight of the element. How do I calculate the self weight of the element? This is a surface, this is a fluid element which has the area as dA and dH as its height. That means what is the volume? Why I came to volume basically? Weight you will have to calculate only using the basic property, specific weight is equal to weight by volume. That means weight is equal to specific weight into volume. Specific weight is rho g, volume must be equal to dA into dH. Now, for the purpose of equilibrium, you will have to club all these forces and equate it to 0. What are all the forces we have? Let me write it on the board now. you have P into dA in the vertically downward direction. Let us assume that is positive, minus. Why minus? Because you have this in the upward direction, minus P into dA plus dou P by dou H dH dA, and you have this self weight to be acting in the vertically downward direction. That also I will show in the figure so that it is less confusing. So what is this? Self weight. Self weight is equal to specific weight into volume. What is specific weight? Rho g. What is volume? Area into other dimension. dA into other dimension is dH. So this is minus rho g dA dH is equal to 0. So P into dA minus, I will open the brackets, P into dA minus into plus, again a minus, dou P by dou H dH dA. I will send this to other side, is equal to rho g dA dH. Now PdA minus PdA gets cancelled. So you are left with dou P by dou H into, in fact dH and dA gets cancelled on either side, dou P by dou H is equal to rho g. This is what was the definition of hydrostatic law. It stated that the variation of pressure with respect to depth is always incremental and must be equal to specific weight at that given point. That's, we have already proved what is hydrostatic law, but it does not end here. You will also need one more further step which cements your knowledge about pressure and will help you in solving a lot of problems, and will also give you proof for already used terminology in case of solving capillary rise and fall. Now on integration you have, if you observe here, dou P by dou H is equal to rho g. I can write it as, or on rearrangement, before I integrate, on rearrangement you have dou P is equal to rho g dou H. Now on integration you have integral of dou P is equal to rho g is a constant, I will take it outside, into integral of dou H. So on integration dou P becomes P, rho g remains as it is, dou H becomes H. P is equal to rho into g into H. A very, very powerful and important concept. P is equal to rho into g into H, which can also be written as H is equal to P by rho g, which is said to be the head or pressure head. This concept is also of utmost importance. Why? Because in the problems and the practical problems that we face, this proves a lot of questions. I had told you that the pressure increases with the depth. It is visible now. It is visible now. Pressure increases with the depth and will be equal to specific weight at that given point. I have made a small mistake here. Instead of taking downward as positive, I have taken it as negative. That is the only change that has to be made. So this becomes minus, and hence minus and minus also gets cancelled. You are left with dou P by dou H is equal to rho g. Rest of the things remains the same. I hope you have understood both the derivations that we have done in this class, that is Pascal's law as well as hydrostatic law, which sets the platform for the study of pressure and its measurement in future. With that note, I will end this class. Thank you.